What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel and to another reaction video. Today we are reacting to Yuri on Ice episode 6. If this is your first time at the channel, hello, welcome, my name is Hannah and I'm a competitive figure skater. I began skating over 20 years ago and coached for about 10 of those years, so I like to say I know a thing or two about skating. And I always like to just give out a disclaimer right now, when it comes to this series, this is not my first time watching it. I watched Yuri on Ice when it was coming out in 2016, not as an anime lover, but as a figure skater, and I have not seen it since, so this is only my second watch through nearly 10 years later. But because of that, this series is not necessarily just your regular old reaction series. Because I am a figure skater, I like to pause and talk about the realism within the show, and this video series is more of an educational but fun way to do that. So if you're just expecting me to just watch it and react, that's not really what's going to happen here. There will be lots of pausing, there will be lots of yapping, but that's the way this series is built. The last episode, we got through regionals just fine. He had not the greatest free skate, he had a lot of messy landings, only landed a couple well, and then hit the wall, and I feel like we should be checking for a concussion, but this is anime after all, and it is making things a little bit more dramatic than it would be in normal life. But next up, I believe, is going to be Cup of China. That is going to be the next big event of the show. I can't remember if we get past Cup of China. I almost feel like we don't, or we at least get to Rostelecom Cup. But right now the goal is to medal at the Grand Prix final. Well, the goal is to win the Grand Prix final, but we're gonna see. I'm just kind of trying to figure out how much I remember of the show and how much I don't, but I think we're just gonna dive right in. But before we do, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment your thoughts on today's episode. Also, if you're interested in following me on social media, I'm at HannahMalay on Instagram. This is going to have all of my skating content, my Japan content, my cosplay content, all that fun stuff. And then if you want to follow me on X and TikTok, I am at lookingnerdy. X is going to have my random thoughts throughout the day and my occasional tweets in Japanese, while TikTok has my fun Demon Slayer short form content that's just a little bit cringe. I just have fun on there. And you can follow me on all of my socials linked in the description below. Finally, if you do want access to my reactions early and unedited, I am posting them to Patreon, and the link is also in the description. But with that, let's dive into it. I know y'all think I'm skipping the intro because I cut it out during these, but I watch it every single time. Not only is this opening just so good, it's also very nostalgic to me. This was my very first experience with an anime opening, so I started out very, very high up there with quality. Here we go. We're off to Beijing. I cannot sleep on a flight. I'm so nervous about my flight to Japan. 11 hours long. It is very common for, in the Grand Prix, Yurio got beat out. Oh boy. It's very common for the home person to win at home. They usually send their best of the best to their home Grand Prix. Yeah, gold medal. Jeez. This year especially, so many skaters were getting sick right before they skated at competitions all over the world, like they were getting food poisoning or something. It would be really nice if skaters from all over the world could communicate with each other this easily. Oh, Lord. This is a disaster. Oh, that would be so... If that kind of stuff was getting posted online, there would be so many issues. The sin is grave. They do a really good job in this. Even the rink, the signage, the logos, all looks like it was modeled after a real life cup of china, like to a T. It's perfect. I love that attention to detail in the show. I've talked a little bit about how comparing this to Medalist feels a lot more realistic, and yes, it does still take liberties and things that aren't super common, but Yuri on Ice definitely focuses a lot more on being very dramatic. It's interesting because I think it's still a good balance. They clearly do their research and they pay attention to the little details, but they just make things very over dramatic than what it really would be. And again, I always say this too, I never competed internationally, I never competed on the Grand Prix, so I could be totally missing the mark, and maybe this is exactly what it's like backstage, and maybe they all do speak to each other. I've heard them talk about, like, some of them talk about how they wish they could communicate with certain skaters, but they can't because they speak different languages, that sort of thing. So, that has nothing to do with skating, though. I've brought that up so many times. But they really pay attention to detail, and I like that. I think it's a good mix of over-dramatic, but also still keeping it real, and at least still making it seem like a real-life competition. Here we go. So he's already competed in fourth. He's definitely on the bubble for the Grand Prix final. I wish more skaters would be more willing to skate to soundtracks and stuff from things that they're passionate about. Everyone skates to the same music, and a lot of it is just classical pieces, which is great, but I want skaters to skate to things they're passionate about. It would make it way more interesting than everyone skating to Moonlight Sonata. As good as that music is. Nice. So he did a short program with a triple axel, triple lutz, triple toe, and fell on the quad toe. So right now this would be, depends, somewhere in the middle. Man, they even added the car. Sometimes Cup of China, because it'll be sponsored by like Lexus, there's literally just like a car sitting there. It's like, okay. Well, they did a really good job at that attention to detail. The way the rink is built, like it's modeled directly out of, I believe, the Beijing arena that this has taken place at. 86.75. So comparing that to scores now, which is a little bit different because there's more grade of execution available. Back in 2016, they could only go through +3 and -3, and now it's +5 and -5. That means you can both get more points when you do things well, but you get less points when you don't do things well because more points get taken off when you fall. So 86, it's a good score, but 86.75 would put him in 10th place after the short program at the World Figure Skating Championships that just happened. I have Worlds open in my phone because it literally just ended last night from recording this, so I'm going to be basing it off of that just to make it easy and accessible. So he'll have a bigger chair because he's at home. Nice. Okay, here we go. He has to podium if he wants to go for that goal of gold at the Grand Prix final, because you first have to qualify for it, which means you can't screw up any of these. You get to compete twice, and they take your placements from both. You don't get to do anything else. It's not like you get a third and then they take your best performance. Yeah, he's in a mood. Anime always makes the tongue lip, like, they make that so, they make that so, like, sexy. And in real life, it's like, what are you doing? He's being very different. Perfect. It's something they can't do now, too. So what he's doing is he's backloading his entire program. Yeah. So he's backloading his entire program, which means he's trying to get that 10% bonus on all 3 jumps. It's just one of many ways to max out your ceiling of technical element score. I might have already talked about this. I think I already did. But anyway, as you might know, Alina Zagitova won the 2018 Olympics. Because she did that, she backloaded both her programs. And thus, the ISU, the International Skating Union, started a new rule where in the short program, you can now only get a 10% bonus on 1 jump. You can still put all 3 after the halfway mark if you want to, but there's no reward for doing that except for 1. So 1 jump will get a 10% bonus, the others will not. This was a way to max out points back then, but because it's one way to kind of work the system, they changed the rules so people couldn't do it anymore. In the free skate, you can only do 3. You can only get 3 jumping passes. So a lot of skaters will still like put all their combos there if they're really confident in it. But again, that's a lot of risk because if you wait to do your combos till the end, if you miss one of those, then you lose an entire combo. And those are your big point getters. It is not easy. Doing jumps after the halfway mark, there's a reason why they're worth more. It's because your legs are tired. You're way more fatigued. You're running at full speed this entire time. Nice. Come on, Yuri. That looked like a toe. That did not look like a Sauco. That was a sketchy jump right there. That looked like he used his toe pick to assist. They might have just reused animation from another jump, thinking people won't notice. But that looked like a toe loop entry. It was definitely did not look like a, like that was definitely a toe. Yeah. That was incredible. That'd be winning Worlds. Well, no, because he's doing the 2 easiest quads. Now you need to have the 2 hardest quads, the flip and the Lutz, to win. Yay! Eh. 106. Yeah, so that's a very high score. 106.84 would be... It would only be 3rd at Worlds this year because we had Ilya Malinin with 110 and then Yuma Kageyama with 107. So he still would have only been 3rd at Worlds, but that doesn't include, the difference in GOE now that there was back then. So since he did everything well, that means that the difference in GOE would only add to his score now. So he would have been right up there with them. World class, right there. I would sure hope you're the best student. You're the only one. And he's 20 points ahead of him, so that's a very big cushion heading into the free skate. It's quite the makeup he's got on there. That also happens a lot. Skaters will date each other and it hardly ever turns out well. Nice. Triple S triple loop is the most difficult triple you can do, but I would feel a little bit worried for a skater if they were crying while they were skating, like literally in the middle of it. You usually can't think of stuff like that. You're too focused on your skating. Yeah, his technical base value is lower than Yuri's. And when your technical base value is lower... Yeah, 98 is still very good. That would have gotten him also 3rd Because at Worlds we had 110, 107, and then third was 94. So now he won Skate America. So the short program requires you to do one axle type jump, and it has to be by itself. And you can't repeat anything. So skaters will do just everyone has to do a triple axel. Occasionally you'll see, like Ilya Malinin, I think did one time, he did a quad axel triple toe combo and then a regular triple axel. Just a triple flip, triple toe. So again, just the base value is not quite up there with Yuri. Triplets. So he doesn't even have a quad. Which he would just simply not be winning things without quads. Nowadays, you have to have 2 quads in the short and 3 quads minimum. 4 quads, preferably, in the free skate. 87 makes sense, yeah. It's hard to break 90 without quads. Your base value is just that low. We're gonna throw a lot of skaters in this episode, man. The car just sends me. It's so true, though. There's just, like, always a Lexus just in the arena sitting there. It's like, okay. Quadlets. Oh, just a triple, never mind. You don't want to peek at the Grand Prix final either. You want to peek at Worlds. It's like I was talking about last episode. You don't want to peek too much at the beginning because you might use all of your... Anyway, I just lost my train of thought. You don't want to, like, have all of your amazing skates right off the bat, right at the very beginning. You want to save those for later on in the season. So again, no quad. No comment. Well, you better be careful there, because if you come in 5th here, you might not get to go to the Grand Prix final. It does seem very close. Alright. We got the short program done, but the free skate's the real question. Yay! Whew, that was a lot to get through. That was episode 6 of Yuri on Ice. So we just saw the short program. So for those of you who don't know, and I haven't really broken this down, if you haven't watched skating before, but there are 2 programs that you compete in. There's the short program and there's the free skate. The short program has a lot more rules, and you pretty much can't make up for mistakes, so there's less that you do in it, but it can be more nerve-wracking because there's just less room for error. So the short program has 3 jumping passes, and when I say jumping passes, that means the amount of times you can do an entire jump. So when I say jumping pass, that could be just 1 jump, that could be a combination jump, but you can only do 1 combo. So 2 have to be solo jumps, 1 has to be in combo, and in the short program, it has to be a 2 jump combo. But it cannot be on the axle unless you do like a quad axle combo and then a triple axel, if that makes any sense. So it's a lot shorter. It's like 2 minutes, 50 seconds. And usually when it comes to the short program, because there's less technical element scores, or there's less technical elements in general, you will see a much closer race. And it always will make the free skate very interesting, because in the free skate, that's 4 minutes, and you have, I believe back in 2016, they had 8 jumping passes. They've put it down to 7 since then. And I believe men had 4.5 minute long programs in 2016 as well, that is so long. Again, you're like running at full speed the entire time and jumping and spinning. It's crazy. And you get to do 3 in combo. One of them can be a sequence of 3 jumps, but no more than 3 jumps. There's a little bit more opportunity to repeat jumps as well. Like in the short program, you cannot repeat any jump. Every single jump has to be a different jump than the others. Meaning, like, you can't do 2 toe loop jumps. You have to do you could do like a quad toe loop and a triple toe loop, but you can't do 2 quad toe loops, which is why the axle thing is kind of difficult, because you have to have a axle type jump like on its own in a short program. So if you want to do 1 in combo, you have to do 2 different rotational axles. One has to be a quad, one has to be a triple, or one has to be a triple, one has to be a double. That kind of thing. Anyway, and the free skate, there's just a lot more room for a lot of movement. Men's figure skating is kind of well known for being a little bit wild. Some notable things is at the 2018 Olympic Games, Nathan Chen came in 17th in the short program and then won the free skate. And I think his total score, he moved up to 5th overall, because they take your score from the short program, your score from the free skate, they add it together. Your total score determines your placement for the competition. So Nathan Chen ended up getting 5th at that Olympics. Just last year at Worlds, we had, I think, an even bigger jump. I think the French skater Adam Xiao-Him-Fa went from 19th to 3rd. I think he was in 19th after the short, and then came in 2nd in the free skate and 3rd overall. Anyway, because men's, you have some skaters doing quads for every single jump. You have some skaters doing no quads, and then you have some skaters in between. There's just all kinds of errors that can be made, and you can have one skater whose technical ceiling is like 140 points, and one skater whose technical ceiling is 80 points. And that skater whose technical ceiling is 80 points in the free skate can still be right in the mixed or in the short program, but then the free skate will kind of mess them up. So I hope that makes sense. Scoring is crazy in figure skating. It's very confusing. It's not easy to understand. There are even some aspects of it that I still don't understand, even though I competed in it for 20 years. But some of it I just was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But that is how it works, and it'll be interesting to see. I don't remember what happens on the free skate. Like, genuinely, it's been so long since I watched this. There's very little of this that I remember, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens next. But that is going to be it for today's episode. If you liked it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment your thoughts. You can also follow me on my social media at Hannah Malay on Instagram and at lookingnerdy on TikTok and X. But with that, I will see you all next time. Matane!